Hello everyone and welcome to today's Wild Rift video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 of my top picks for Wild Rift patch 6.1b that came out today. I wanted to give you all a head start on the new patch and give you all some of the champions that I feel like you should either ban or pick in every single one of your games. For the first champion, I have Yone. Now, Yone is a very flexible champion that can be played mid, jungle, or even in the Baron lane. But I feel like the buffs that came in patch 6.1b, where they removed his crit damage being reduced by 10%, and now you can build more crit items and gain more attack damage, is going to allow him to be a really great carry. He was already strong in the previous patch. His jungle clear speed might have been a little bit slow, but with Yone, once you get 3 items, which normally your core items are Blade Ruin King, Bloodthirster, and Mortal Reminder, he has that 1 versus 9 outplay potential. He can jump in with his third ability, his first ability, and then basically dash all the way back to safety. His ultimate can knock up multiple enemy champions, and he could do a crazy amount of damage. And this is all going to be increased now thanks to his passive changes and also his first ability being buffed with his crit damage. There was an old build with Yone that was very powerful before, where you went for Solari Charge Blade as a first item. This might be the new way to play Yone, since the reducing crit damage has been removed from the passive and now you deal more damage with your first ability from crit damage. You'll be able to do more damage with Solari Charge Blade as a first item and maybe try and build 3 items with crit. You go Solari Charge Blade, Bloodthirster into Mortal Reminder instead of going Blade Ruin King into Bloodthirster. I think it really depends on matchup. I think if you're against more squishier champions, then you can go Solari Charge Blade since you do a lot more burst damage. But if you're against more tanks or more bruisers that like to stack up the amount of HP that they do, you can go for Blade Ruin King since that does percentage health damage. Yeah, overall, I think Yone is going to be a great pick whether you want to play him top, mid, or jungle. With the changes that came in the recent patch, he's going to be one of the best carries out there. Another champion that got buffed in this patch is Xin Zhao, and he's going to be one of my champions I'm going to be highlighting in the new patch. The third ability being buffed with the base damage and the attack speed increase is going to help a lot with his burst damage when it comes to duels and team fights, but also help him a lot with his jungle clear speed. Again, I feel like this is another champion that maybe wasn't the strongest jungler. There was definitely junglers that were stronger, but he was like the second tier. He was like the S tier champion that was still strong before, and now he's just going to get even stronger. Great thing with Xin Zhao is that you don't actually need that many damage runes. You can go for runes like Phase Rush to get more movement speed and get more ability haste, so you can use your abilities more often. He has great engage potential. If you can hit your second ability at max range, you can dash about 2 flashes towards an enemy champion and do a crazy amount of burst damage. And his ultimate means that he can isolate a champion in a 1 versus 1 and he can block any range damage. He builds more of like a carry as well. You can go for items like Trinity Force, build Serpent's Fang if you really need it for the anti-shield, Mortal Reminder as well. You really become a great carry with Xin Zhao once you get a few items, kind of similar to Yone. Might not have the same flashy outplays potential as Yone, but he has consistent damage. He can jump in, he has that guaranteed engage, he has the knock up with his first ability, and again with the boss with his third ability, I think he's going to be a great jungler to pick up in the new patch. The next champion is going to benefit a lot from the Malignus buffs in the most recent patch, with the total price going down to 2,900, the ability power going up from 75 up to 80, and that's going to be Swain. Swain, I think, was already one of the best mid laners to play. Even if you didn't build Malignance, he was still very powerful. With Rod of Ages being buffed a few patches ago, items like Riftmaker and Deathcap still allowing Swain to be so powerful. But now with Malignance being buffed, with the price going down, the ability power going up, this is going to make Swain even more powerful. He does a crazy amount of AoE damage in team fights. If you're able to CC champions in your pool with your ultimates, you could do a crazy amount of burst damage. You can 1v9 team fights. You could still build a little bit tankier as well. And I think that's the big difference between Swain and other mages. Swain is more of a bruiser mage rather than a backline carry mage. You can be on the front line, you can try and catch enemies out with your third ability, and if you do get caught, you just use your ultimate. You heal so much from your ultimate, your other abilities with Riftmaker in your kit as well. And then with Malignance, this is just going to allow your burst damage to be even higher than before. There are a lot of great mid laners to play, I think, in general in this patch, but I think with the Malignance buffs, all these champions that benefited from Malignance before are just going to get even stronger. So Swain, definitely a pickup that you should at least consider trying to learn. He might be a little bit difficult at first with a lot of abilities that you need to land and skill shots, but he's a great champion that you should definitely add to your champion pool. Yeah, no one will be surprised about this next one, will they? Corki, yay, again. Corki's one of the champions that should have been nerfed in patch 6.1b. There were no AD carry changes at all, with no item changes, no champion changes. So the meta is going to be very stale for quite a long time now for AD carries. And that means that Corki is still going to be the best AD carry out there. Corki still does a crazy amount of damage ever since his rework. Him becoming now more of an auto attack damage carry rather than building items like Sterix Gauge, Rift Maker, and all these other weird items before. Now he becomes much more of a carry. There's not really too much to explain about Corki. I feel like I talk about him way too much. I think I have like a 70% win rate with him in ranked this season. His laning phase is very safe. His scaling is one of the best scaling carries in the late game. He works with enchanters. He works with tank supports. I do think he does work with tank supports much better than enchanter supports because of the crowd control that a tank support might bring. It means that you can land your abilities, especially your rockets, much easier. With all the enchanter support items getting nerfed, you might see more tank supports in ranked, trying to go for more outplay, trying to go for more engage. So this might benefit Corki even more, which makes him even scarier, to be honest, when it gets into even in the mid and the late game, as well as the early game as well. But there are so many benefits to Corki, which just allow him to be a great carry, super safe, scaling with Manamune being buffed a few patches ago. And yeah, just a no-brainer. If you play AD carry in Wild Rift, you need to play Corki. This champion needs to be picked or banned in every single one of your games. If it's not picked up and you have a chance to pick it, swap with your teammates, pick up Corki, and enjoy the free wins. And my last pick for this patch is one of the most underrated champions right now in the game, and that is Ornn. But it's not Ornn in the Baron lane, it's Ornn support. This champion has so much playmaking potential as a support. He's one of the best tank supports to play out there. He has so much tankiness, so much crowd control. You crafting items allows you to give that over to your AD carry, which is such a huge boost and a huge bonus that you can give over. Yeah, I think there's not much more to explain about Ornn. I think no one really understands the power of Ornn in support until you actually play it. You have great pick potential, you have great peeling as well. When using your third ability, make sure that you don't always use it going forward. If an enemy is standing near a terrain and so is your AD carry, and that enemy champion is running towards your carry, you could use your third ability as more of a peeling tool and use it towards that wall instead of engaging. People think of Ornn as like, I must go in, I need to engage, I need to dash forward. But the great thing is that whenever you're near terrain, and because the map is so much smaller, all the terrain is so much closer together, it means that Ornn's crowd control just becomes much more powerful. When you've got this in mind, when you have the outplay potential in the laning phase as well, Ornn just becomes a great support champion. And like I said, in my opinion, one of the best supports to play and one of the most underrated right now. And he builds like any other tank support as well. You go for items like Warmogs, you still go for Relic Shield, you go things like Twin Guard, Thorn Mail. Basically depends on how much damage, on what damage type is on the enemy team. You just build towards that damage type. You build towards the AD armor if you're against a lot of AD carry champions. You build the magic resist if you go towards, you know, more AP champions. It's as simple as that. And then you just get into fights. You use your crowd control. You use your ultimate. Not mentioning that the ultimate is one of the best team fight ultimates in the entire game. Just make sure you're not against champions like Braum and Yasuo that can block your ultimate. If you're against these champions, wait until they use their shield and then use your ultimate afterwards. It's all about timing with Ornn, all about knowing when to dash forward to engage or when to peel for your AD carry. And that's going to do it for my top picks for Wild Rift patch 6.1b. A fresh new patch means new champions to look out for, and new champions that you might spot might be really strong. So if there's any champions that you feel like I might have missed, or champions that you feel like might be very strong because of the buffs, let me know down in the comments. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you all a little bit later on stream, and take care. See you all next time. Peace.